The Propaganda du P2 Masonic Lodge is one of Italy's most notorious secret organizations, infamous for its involvement in political intrigue, financial corruption, and criminal activities during the latter half of the 20th century. The lodge, which was originally created as part of the wider Masonic tradition, evolved into a shadowy power network that infiltrated Italian politics, business, and even media. The P2 Lodge was founded in 1877 as a part of the Italian Grand Orient Freemasonry, originally intended as a lodge for elites within Italian society. Masonic lodges, including P2, were common in Europe and known for gathering intellectuals, politicians, and businessmen to discuss philosophical, social, and political matters. However, they were often viewed with suspicion due to their secretive nature and potential political influence. In its early years, P2 was a relatively minor player in the Masonic network. It served as a lodge primarily for aristocrats and politicians who wanted to maintain a low profile in their Masonic activities. Its original purpose was to act as a platform for social and political influence rather than overt subversion of Italian governance. In the 1960s, the P2 Lodge began its transformation into a more secretive and politically active organization under the leadership of Licio Gelli. Gelli, an enigmatic figure with ties to fascist regimes during World War II, took control of the lodge in 1966 and used it as a tool to further his personal ambitions and political agenda. Licio Gelli had a controversial past, including working as a liaison for Mussolini's regime, and later cultivating ties with right-wing governments across Europe and South America. His charisma and political connections allowed him to shape the lodge into a vehicle for covert operations. Under Gelli's leadership, P2's membership swelled, reaching over 900 influential members. These included senior politicians, military officers, intelligence officials, bankers, businessmen, and journalists. Gelli carefully selected individuals who could wield power and serve as part of a clandestine network capable of influencing public affairs from behind the scenes. Rather than functioning as a traditional Masonic organization, P2 effectively became a parallel state within Italy, operating with its own agenda. Its members sought to maintain control over key state institutions, such as the military, law enforcement, and the media, to steer political decisions and protect their financial interests. P2 became notorious for its central role in a series of scandals that shook Italy throughout the 1970s and 1980s, many of which had far-reaching international implications. One of the most infamous episodes linked to P2 was the collapse of Banco Ambrosiano, one of Italy's largest private banks. The bank's chairman, Roberto Calvi, known as God's banker due to his connections with the Vatican, was a prominent member of P2. Calvi used the bank to launder money for the mafia and to finance secret political operations. The Vatican Bank was also implicated, as it had significant financial dealings with Ambrosiano. When the bank collapsed in 1982 with a deficit of over $1 billion, the scandal exposed the deep corruption within Italy's financial and political elite. Calvi was found dead, hanging from a bridge in London in 1982, under mysterious circumstances. Although initially ruled a suicide, later investigations suggested he was murdered to prevent him from revealing sensitive information about P2's financial dealings. P2 was also linked to the so-called piano solo plot, a secret plan developed in the mid-1960s by right-wing military officers in coordination with Gelli and P2 members to stage a coup in Italy if the political situation became unfavorable. The plan aimed to suppress left-wing forces and install a more authoritarian government in Italy, ensuring that communists and socialists could not gain power. While the coup was never executed, the mere existence of the plan demonstrated P2's ambition to manipulate Italian politics. At its height, P2 members occupied critical positions within the Italian state, including the intelligence services SISM-1, military, and high-ranking bureaucratic roles. This allowed P2 to exert influence over national security matters, political appointments, and even the judiciary. Gelli's ultimate goal, as outlined in his plan for democratic rebirth, was to reshape Italy into a more authoritarian conservative state aligned with right-wing ideologies. The plan called for controlling the media, limiting the power of unions and dismantling left-wing P2 were brought to light in 1981 when a police investigation into a financial crime led to the discovery of a list of 962 members in Gelly's villa. The list contained the names of high-ranking politicians, military officials, business leaders, and members of the media, sparking a massive public outcry. Following the discovery, the Italian government launched a parliamentary inquiry to investigate P2's influence on the state. The inquiry revealed the lodge's extensive infiltration of Italian institutions and its connection to numerous illegal activities, including attempts to destabilize the government. In response to the revelations, P2 was declared illegal, and Gelly fled the country to avoid prosecution. The exposure of P2's activities led to the resignation of several government officials, including Prime Minister Arnaldo Forlani, and triggered widespread distrust in the political system. P2's influence extended beyond Italy. The lodge had ties with fascist regimes in Latin America, including Argentina, where Gelly had cultivated strong connections. It is believed that P2 helped coordinate anti-communist efforts in South America, particularly during the military dictatorships of the 1970s and 1980s. P2's reach even extended into the Vatican, with certain members involved in financial deals with the Vatican Bank. Some investigations have suggested that P2 was connected to the mysterious death of Pope John Paul I in 1978, though these claims remain speculative. The P2 scandal left a deep scar on Italy's political landscape. The exposure of high-level corruption and clandestine manipulation of government institutions contributed to a period of political instability in the 1980s and 1990s. To this day, P2 remains a subject of fascination and speculation. The secrecy surrounding its activities has led to numerous conspiracy theories, some of which suggest that elements of P2's network continued to operate behind the scenes even after the lodge was formally disbanded. The story of P2 has also inspired works of fiction, documentaries, and books that explore the darker side of power, secrecy, and corruption in modern societies. It serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked secret organizations within democratic institutions. The P2 Masonic Lodge represents one of the most significant examples of a secret society wielding enormous political and financial power in the modern era. Its infiltration of Italy's state apparatus, involvement in international criminal activities, and ultimate exposure shocked the world and left an indelible mark on Italy's history. The P2 scandal remains a key reference point in discussions about corruption, secret organizations, and the fragility of democratic institutions.